Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and this week we are talking uranium. I got the stash going on. I'm supporting Movember. Can't wait to shave it off, to be honest. And the last couple of weeks, didn't have an episode last week. I've been studying and just diving in. Once I get focused on something, I can literally start at 8 o'clock in the morning and then realize it's 10:30 at night and I forgot to eat because I get so excited and I just love studying this stuff. It's so much fun to me. Okay, so uranium. Let me start off by saying I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take this as financial advice. I just like to study the markets and economic policy and try to predict what's going to happen and then make money off it. This is just what I'm doing. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way and we don't get banned, let's go on to uranium. All right, uranium. I'll give you a little backstory first, and then you kind of see where this is going. Okay, so uranium has a 4 billion year half-life. It's produced in a supernova star explosion. Uranium 308 is what is used to fuel nuclear power plants. It's extremely efficient with a byproduct of only steam. Okay, so it's zero carbon. Pretty cool. A pencil eraser sized fuel pellet. All right, so a little pencil eraser sized fuel pellet contains the same energy as 2,000 pounds of coal, as 149 gallons of oil, or 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas. So think about that. A little tiny pencil eraser sized pellet of uranium 308 contains the same energy as a ton of coal, almost 3 barrels of oil, and 17,000 cubic feet of natural gas, right? Very efficient. With a byproduct of only steam. Now, they do have to figure out where to put the nuclear waste, and the best solution we have right now is to bury this stuff. But when it comes to, I mean, if you're burning coal, this stuff's going in the air, so is oil. Pick your poison. You want to bury it or you want to throw it into the atmosphere? Because we haven't come up with anything better yet. Until someone can come up with some to harness dark energy or something, then this is what we got. All right. Global mining production of uranium has been trending down for the last 3 years. Right now, we are consuming substantially more uranium than we are producing, and global demand is up. Okay, so what do we know about supply and demand here, right? We're having decreasing supply, increasing demand. Prices in that scenario have got to go up, right? How is it that we are consuming more than we're making? If we're only pulling so much of this out of the ground every year, where's the extra coming from? Well, it's coming from a couple of places. One is the remnants of the Cold War. Okay, so not too long ago in our planet's history, the U.S. and Soviet Union did not feel safe unless they could blow up the world several times over with nuclear warheads. Luckily, we've calmed down from that, and we don't have to build bomb shelters like they used to. And they're able to blend that down and use that to power the nuclear power plants. Another stockpile that we've got is left over from the shutdown of the Japan nuclear fleet after Fukushima disaster. Okay, so two major nuclear disasters were Chernobyl and Fukushima. Fukushima was the most recent one in 2011, and that was the one where the giant, it wasn't a rogue wave, tsunami came up and took out the power plant, and they just had a whole host of issues. So that made the Japanese people pretty unfavorable towards nuclear. And so they had a big stockpile. We've been pulling from that. Now, I tried to find out, how big is the stockpile? How many more warheads do we have to go before we run out of that? How many more, how much is left in Japan? After 80 or 100 hours of research over the last 2 weeks, I could not find the answer. And then I watched an interview with Rick Rule, where the whole subject for the hour-long interview was uranium. And he was asked that exact question. And he said he's been trying to find the answer to that question for the last 20 years, and he hasn't been able to find it. So as soon as I heard that, I stopped looking. So I don't know how long the stockpiles are going to be left. I have no idea. Apparently, he doesn't either. But eventually, they're going to run out, and when they do, I believe that the price is going to explode. Okay, a couple other stats. In 2020, we pulled out around 100 million pounds of uranium out of the ground. The World Nuclear Association projects uranium demand to reach 206 million pounds, so double, in 2030, and supply to drop 50% by 2030 due to lack of investment in new mines. So that's 8 years from now. They're projecting twice the demand, half the supply. Okay, these mines, I'm learning the more I research commodities and mines, no matter what the sector, copper, uranium, steel, fill in the blank, mines are not something that you can just start it up like the flip of a light switch. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes hundreds of permits. They have to secure workers, build an infrastructure, build a plant. This is not something that happens overnight. So with public sentiment of uranium being generally in the toilet, I think that could be very, very bullish for uranium in the future. It's a contrarian investor's dream. At least it is mine. Right now, about 10% of the Earth's population does not have access to electricity. I believe they would like that, and nuclear energy can help solve that. There's about 450 nuclear reactors in operation and about 50 under construction at the moment. 15% of America's electricity, so just taking America as an example, 15% of America's electricity and 20% of its base load is supplied by nuclear. Pretty cool, huh? Is supplied by nuclear, and there is no way that we can replace that over the next 5 years. So let's say all of a sudden people are like, oh, we hate nuclear, tear down all the nuclear power plants. Well, then 20% of its base load is just gone. All right. That means that, your refrigerator isn't keeping your food cold anymore. You can't turn on your lights. I don't think the American people would stand for that. I think that would not last very long, and pretty quick they'd say, you know what, we're cool with nuclear. We like electricity. Okay, so they can't replace that in the next 5 years. All right, they can't replace it with wind, solar, coal, hydro. It doesn't matter. Okay, there's not the infrastructure to just start building a whole bunch of hydro dams or solar farms or wind farms or anything. So my point is, I believe, either the price goes up or your refrigerator stops working. I'll let you decide which is more likely. All right. Another great thing about this is when you really get down to these little nuclear pellets, they're very, very cheap in comparison to building up an entire nuclear fleet. Right. This is almost nothing in the grand cost of things. So this thing can go up from 43 bucks a pound the last time I checked to several times that, and it almost has no effect on the cost of electricity and energy. Okay, because it's such a small percentage of the overall cost of labor and running the plant and everything, right? Okay. What are some risks with this? No bet is without a risk, or it would not be a bet. It would be a certainty, and this is certainly not that. Risks. We could have another Chernobyl, or we could have another Fukushima somewhere in the world. I think that would be terrible for this commodity, but it is a risk. But nuclear is the safest and cleanest form of energy that we have. Although most people don't know this is why I like it as a contrarian investor and why I'm investing in it. Public sentiment is generally against nuclear. People don't like it, but they like electricity more, I believe. Okay, so on to a few picks. How do you bet uranium? After 2 weeks of research, this is what I'm doing. Again, not financial advice. This is just what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to list 3 different stocks here that you can make a play on uranium. I'm going to go ahead and screen share, and then you guys will be able to see what graphically what it is that I'm talking about here. All right, so this first one is a Global X Uranium ETF. So it's an exchange traded fund. Let me kind of shrink this down just a little bit so you can see. This is on a weekly time scale, right? So you guys can see this this graph over here. Now, basically, this ETF started, as far as this goes back, around 2010. 2011 was the kind of height of the bull market in the commodities. If you guys go back and listen to Daniel and I talk about commodities, this is following the same path. I think we even brought up this stock. Okay, right around here, check that out. March of 2011, conveniently timed with the Fukushima disaster. This thing went from there and then opened up the next week way down there. Whoops, way down there. See that drop? And then it just continued to take a dump all the way down. And for, what is that, since 2016 to the beginning of this year, it just went sideways and didn't do a darn thing, right? Now let's look at what's happened in the last year or so. I believe we're starting to have a trend up, and I believe that generally speaking, this will continue. I think that this ETF is likely to make money in a uranium bull market. I think this will be one of the first ones that retail investors move into. It's the first one that comes up on a Google search. It's an ETF, so people don't really have to do a whole heck of a lot of research. They can place a bet, because this one has a whole bunch of uranium miners in it and uranium bets, and it's kind of quick and easy. You know, someone with the if when people learn that uranium is the place to be, I think this will be one of the first mover ones. Because it's available on almost every single platform. It's a very simple, easy bet without really having to look at company financials and all that. I asked Rick Rule, the commodity expert, about this, and he said it was okay, but there's too many junky companies in there. So that is something to be aware of. You know, you are getting some really top-notch uranium companies, but you also kind of got mixed in there a lot of little stuff that may not do quite as well. So that's something to be aware of. Next one is SRUUF. Now this one, let me pull up the daily, because this has not been around very long. So to give you an idea of the time frame on this, right here is July of this year. Okay, and as of today, this is November 22nd. So we don't have a whole heck of a lot of history here. But what's interesting about this is Sprott has done an interesting bet here. So this is called the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. The ticker that I bought it under was SRUUF. Okay, and to get that one, I couldn't get it on my normal brokerage account. I had to call around and find a broker that actually had it. The one I ended up going with was it was Interactive Brokers. Okay. Okay, so Sprott is buying the physical yellow cake that you see behind me, and they're storing it in warehouses in the USA and Canada and one other country that's escaping me at the moment. They're storing it in warehouses with the idea that if this bet is correct, and if the price of uranium starts to go up, them physically holding it is going to increase the value of the trust. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's kind of a bet like their what is it, PHYS, their physical gold trust. So they physically hold the metal, and then you can buy shares of that metal. And if you're uber wealthy, you can actually withdraw it out of the fund. But I like the physical play here, because you're not really dependent on the miners pulling it out of the ground. They could have issues with labor strikes and all sorts of stuff, and you just physically holding the product is, I think, a pretty cool bet. It does not pay a dividend. Unlike URA, URA pays a small dividend. I think as of right now at their price, it's like half of 1% a year or something like that. It's not very much. This one doesn't pay anything. And as a matter of fact, you have to pay them to hold it. It's not free to store nuclear product. And you have to pay 0.35% per year. But if you think that uranium is going to go on a bull run in the next 3 to 10 years or whatever the time frame is, I don't know. But I think this is a pretty neat bet on that. This one, yeah, I got it on Interactive Brokers. The next one, I'm going to have to go to a different page here and show you. Let's see. This next one is called Kazatomprom. The ticker is KAP. It has about a 3% dividend, which I think is pretty cool. So they basically pay you to hold it. It's the largest uranium miner in the world. And to give you an idea, now it's on the London Stock Exchange. So if you're in England, then good for you. If you're in America, I had to get this one also on Interactive Brokers. So see if it's available there for you. This largest uranium miner in the world. It's located in Kazakhstan. So Borat would be proud. Kazakhstan produced 41% of the world's supply of uranium in 2020. And Kazatomprom, this company, produced 22% of the world's supply in 2020. So they're really kicking butt. And, they're pulling out more than a fifth of the world's supply of uranium. Huge company. All the research I've done says that this is an experienced team running the company. Their costs are the lowest in the business. Apparently, wages must be pretty low in Kazakhstan. So they have some locations that they can actually pull this stuff out of. Right now, uranium's priced at $43 a pound. Even if that went down to $20, they could still make a $5 profit in one of their mines. All right, so I like this one a lot. Yeah. Now, as far as technically, when do we enter this thing? What's interesting about this? Okay, so take a look at this graph, right? And when Sprott started buying the physical uranium, right now, last I checked, I mean, they're buying it like almost every week. As more people buy into the physical uranium fund, the SRUUF, their inventory grows. And last I checked a couple days ago, they were at, I believe, 39 or 40 million pounds. Okay. They started buying in July, August. Okay, so they started accumulating here. And look at what happened to the price after that. Now, what happened is, so we went down here, just this one stock alone, 26, up to there. They started realizing that we better start securing some uranium because these guys are buying it all up and they're storing it in warehouses. And if we don't get it, then we're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to run our power plants. So if you look over the spot price of uranium, it's got a similar jump like that. So this is a leveraged bet, being a miner, on the uranium. As far as a technical entry into this one, I have not bought this one yet. I have bought the URA and I've bought SRUUF. But I'm looking at a technical entry here around, you could probably do $40.50 if you just want to get in and get some and forget about it for the next few years. That might not be a horrible option. You do kind of have to stay up on these miners. Stuff can happen all of a sudden, and like I said, they could have a labor strike, or they could have some type of government coup or something. And I think the risk with Kazatomprom is a lot of their higher ups are actually members of the state. So they're part of the government. The numbers I found was anywhere from 50 to 75%. So that is a bit of a risk. Although I have had American stocks, just basically it's stolen from by some, politician, and you lose. So I don't know that there's any real difference other than emotion of being stolen from by your own country or from, in this case, Kazakhstan. So take that or leave it. As far as how much am I actually investing in this? Okay, if I take my total net worth and then I take 1/2 of 1% of my net worth, I'm spreading that between these three right here. And as far as the percentage of allocation of that bet, I'm doing 10% in URA, I'm doing 40% in SRUUF, and I'm doing 50% in KAP. So that's just me. Again, not a financial advisor. I just want to let you guys know what it is that I'm doing. And if you want to ride the wave as well, then let's do it. A little rule of thumb that I go by is I set a mental stop loss of 20%. Let's say the stock market takes a dump. I think it's likely that initially these probably will as well. Although I believe that although the commodities may take a dump just along with the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones, historically, when you look over the last 100 years or so, they take a quick dump and then they quickly rise back up. But that dump can be anywhere from 10 to 30%. So I put a mental stop loss of 20%. If it gets down below that, get out of it and look for another setup. But I'll be entering Kazatomprom here shortly, and I'm already in URA and SRUUF. You guys got something out of that? Like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next week.